Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and I work with a lot of individuals with attachment wounds. Today, I wanted to go over a topic that was requested, and that's the difference between male and female avoidance. This is just my observation based on current and previous caseloads of mine in my practice. This is not a one-size-fits-all approach. The first one that I've noticed is that avoidant men tend to be more resistant than avoidant females initially in terms of change, compromise, connection, etc. But men actually appear, from my perspective, to be more willing to adjust later years, whereas women, sometimes they actually get more resistant to change and less willing to adapt in the later years. And I think possibly the reason why is a lot of men, they feel like it's their responsibility to make the relationship work. But a lot of men are just grateful to even have a woman. I think women just may have more options to some extent, or sometimes they struggle with entitlement as well. And so avoidant females, a lot of times they feel like they're entitled to certain perspectives of a relationship, and so they're less willing to adjust because of that. That's probably going to trigger people, but I'm just telling you my observation. I could be wrong. That's just what I look at it like. But the beginning, men are way more rigid because they want to hold their boundaries and they don't want to be pushed around sometimes what it is. They also don't want to be taken advantage of. And so that's why a lot of avoidant men are very resistant in the beginning. But once they trust their partner, the walls come down, okay? The next one that I notice is avoidant men tend to be more aware that they're avoidant. They're much more aware. They don't exactly know what to call it, but they're definitely more aware that maybe they're rigid or they're stoic or they have commitment issues or they struggle with compromising. They realize that avoidant women don't really recognize that they struggle with these issues because a lot of times, and I'll talk about this in another point as well, a lot of times they don't realize that they're detached because they can show emotions in other ways. Avoidant women are able to show emotions to some people, but not others. So the closer you are to them, they shut down more, but they may be able to show emotion, affection, connection, bedroom intimacy to strangers easier than connecting to a partner. Whereas avoidant men, they tend to struggle with all of those things in general. Like they struggle with socializing or connecting even with their colleagues. Avoidant females are a little bit better with that, and so it's harder for them to recognize that they're an avoidant. I hope that makes sense. The next one is avoidant women. They tend to beat around the bush a little bit, and they make more excuses about their behaviors or what they're doing, but it's not because they are trying to hurt their partner. It's actually because they're trying to avoid hurting their partner. So an example could be that maybe she feels like he's being a little bit overbearing, but she's not going to say that. Instead, she's just going to make excuses, or she's going to say, oh, no, you're not overbearing. I'm just busy today, or I'm just tired, because she doesn't want to say you're a little much and I need space, because she doesn't want to hurt his feelings. Or maybe she's saying, you know, maybe I want a relationship, just not right now. It sounds like she's stringing him along, but she's not. She just doesn't want to outright say no because she's afraid to hurt his or her feelings, her partner. Whereas avoidant men, they're a lot more blunt. No, I don't want a relationship. No, I never want to get married. Or they outright lie because they're trying to avoid emotional response. This is more common with men. It's one way or another typically. It's not usually like dragging it out necessarily the same way that avoidant women do. The next one is, how would I describe this? Okay. Avoidant woman may struggle to commit to some men or women and find it easier to connect and commit to others. And usually it's the one that they find less connection towards. Where usually avoidant men struggle to commit across the board, all partners. So let me describe that because that's a lot. Avoidant women, they're they feel like they can commit and connect to somebody who maybe is not, who's less pressuring, who might not be as attached to them. And then they can lean and commit to that person, at least initially. Then maybe they'll run away. I mean, I just had a case like that literally this morning. An avoidant female in general, they're just more, they're more able to pick and choose between a lot of men as well. This is just common in women. They have a more suitors, I guess is the best way to put it. I don't even know how to say that. And so they can pick between a lot of men. So they can choose, okay, this person is too attached to me. I don't want that one. This guy, he seems way less attached. He might even have commitment issues. So it'll be easier for me to commit to him because then I never have to commit either. I never have to fully commit. Avoidant women have that option, or maybe that's just their behavior, but that's what I notice. Avoidant men, on the other hand, they just struggle with committing in general. Like they don't, there's not one woman they'll commit to sometimes, but more typically, overall, they struggle to commit in general with every person. It's not as easy for them to sit there and choose, okay, this woman loves me too much, I'm not going to commit to her. Okay, this person doesn't, it doesn't work like that typically with men, avoidant men. Again, these are just examples. It very well could be a lot. In general, we're talking about avoidance. So one way or another, an avoidant will fit either of these two. But I'm just saying more predominantly, I feel like women fit one more and then men fit the other more. Just something to explain. The next one, I think this one's going to be a lot for some people, and this can be triggering. But I want to be honest with you, and so I'm going to be. Avoidant women tend to struggle to commit physically, which basically means they step out of the relationship a lot. You could say it's a, lack of loyalty, whatever you want to call it. Men don't do that as much. What they do is they struggle with the emotional connection. So emotionally commit, even though men don't step out as much, avoidant men, what I've noticed. Particularly dismissive avoidant men. Fearful avoidant, sometimes they do, but dismissive avoidant men, they tend to not step out. What they do struggle with is the emotional connection, opening up about his feelings, engage in disagreements, fight for the relationship. They struggle in that regard. Avoidant woman, they tend to struggle actually physically committing. So she might actually have multiple people. That's way more common with avoidant females, like strongly more common. Like I have seen that actually a lot, even in long-term marriages. I said this topic was triggering. I'm thinking of a couple cases right now, but basically even in long-term marriages where she says that she's happy, but she doesn't know why she still is afraid that he's going to leave her, or one day he's going to, or maybe one day he's going to control her and she doesn't feel free. She will, tell me, any of my patients, like this is not one person, but an avoidant woman might say, oh, I have a crush on my gym trainer. And then maybe she'll have an affair and then it'll stop. Or, a male best friend and she'll, do something with him and then it'll stop. And avoidant women do that because somewhere inside the stability of a long-term relationship makes them feel like one day, they're afraid one day that person will leave, or that person will make her feel like she's never enough and he's going to want to change her. And she's really afraid of those things, which are typically her triggers, any avoidant female. And so they may struggle to commit physically. That's a topic in of itself that has a lot of depth to it. So much I can't explain it in this video. I actually might not be able to explain it on YouTube because of the topic of it. But overall, avoidant women, the main reason why they struggle to physically commit is because they feel like if they give their body to somebody, that person may be able to hurt them, humiliate them, take advantage of them, which is why avoidant females, they tend to step out more often. I hope that makes sense. And the last one, avoidant men, more than women, tend to struggle with anger. I actually specialize in anger management as well. And a lot of avoidant men struggle with anger, very much so. And the reason why, as you can imagine, they shut off their feelings. Avoidant women, they do struggle with anger, but it's really not as much. Actually, avoidant women actually tend to just struggle with, some of them actually struggle with emotions in general, but a lot of them can be a little anxious, but they're pretty detached overall. Some of them. Avoidant men, they have moments where they can explode in anger, and it's not healthy, like to the point where they might lose physical control of themselves. But that's way more common with avoidant men. I hope this video was helpful. Sorry if it was all over the place. I know some of my videos just are, but that's just the way I am, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not a YouTuber, not necessarily. I make these videos like in between my sessions. Like I do it during my workday. I'm just trying to help people, not trying to polish myself too much. I hope that this was helpful regardless. I just want to help at least one person. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.